It is Thursday, June 12th. It's time to get in the weeds. I'm here in physical form. SP3 is here physically and I assume mentally. Hello.
I am here, people. I'm here to basically fill the void and bring the energy that Jeremy's not going to have today. I understand why. We won't be talking about that today, even though, people
So,
usually like us to talk about that type of stuff.
there's nothing to talk about. The Thunder are a historically great regular season team who failed in the playoffs, and that's what they'll be remembered for. They're never going to win a championship if they can't beat a 4 seed from the East on a year where they won 68 games in the regular season and had a historical net rating and had historical blowouts. If they can't beat a 4 seed from the East, they're just never going to win a title. Don't give me excuses of, oh, they're young. The Pacers aren't old. They're not some old, experienced veteran team who have been here before. They're just never going to win a title. And I resigned myself to that last night. I roamed the streets for about 2 hours last night after the game. If a car had hit
This doesn't sound healthy.
If a car had hit me, if I had gotten mugged in the dark streets, I would have been okay with that. It would have felt less painful than watching this basketball game and knowing the future of this team. Truly would have. Would have been in the hospital, maybe. Well, it would have been fine. It would have been okay. Would have felt far less painful. My neighbor was out last night as well. And he, for some reason, he was outside as well. And he, of course, sees me walking up and down the streets for a good 2 hours. And he just goes, "Are you having a good night?"
Wait, was he being sarcastic?
I don't know. I think he was legitimately concerned. I truly think he was legitimately concerned. And I honestly found it funny. Like, I was not angry that he asked me that. I was not angry at all. I thought it was very funny that he's like, "Are you having a good night?" And I was like, "No, not really." He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I was like, "Thanks."
Oh, that's nice.
I was like, are you good?" It's like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, Like, are you okay outside at 1 o'clock in the morning? And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just waiting on he said is his truck to be delivered." And I was like, "Oh, okay, no problem." I was like, "All right, well, have fun, have a good night." He's like, "Thanks." He's like, I hope your night gets better."
Oh,
And
that's sweet.
I'm like, it won't, but thanks. I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna attempt to sleep. Didn't really sleep. And that's gonna be that. There's another game on Friday, and then the final game of the season is on Monday.
Oh God, this guy.
They're not gonna win SP3. They're not.
It's not over till the
It
fat
is.
lady sings.
No.
I think game 4 is going to be the deciding factor. I'm going out on a limb. I said it.
It's not.
I messaged my nephew when the game was over last night, because remember I told you at the beginning of this series I had a whole debate back and forth with my nephew, who is not like 6 years old. Don't worry. That I was like, he was underestimating, because he said it was going to be a sweep, that the Thunder were going to sweep.
So dumb.
The Pacers.
I'm so tired. Like, I hated. This is not a knock on your nephew. Everybody said this. "Oh, Thunder in 5. Thunder, it's gonna be a sweep." Even after game 2, people were like, "Oh, this is gonna be a reverse sweep." Like, why would you think this? What makes you think this? Like, do you not know the history of OKC? Do you just not understand the history of this team? This team will find a way to lose. When they lost this series? Before tip-off of game 1, before tip-off of game one, they lost this series because Mark Daniel wants to be the smartest guy in the room, and he decides, hey, you know this starting lineup that has literally worked all regular season for us, that has literally worked all playoffs for us? We're going to change it. We're going to put Case and Wallace in the starting lineup. And Case and Wallace has been god-awful this series.
Yeah.
But we're going to change. We're going to change the starting lineup. He wanted to overthink and force the Pacers to make a move without the Pacers doing anything. He didn't make the Pacers react. He reacted first. And he thought he was so smart with this. And instead, all he did was threw off the rotations, he threw off the chemistry, he threw off the balance of things. And that's it. That's what happened. And then they lost game one in the way they did. The Pacers aren't Denver. Denver had the historical comeback and won. The Pacers aren't Denver. They're not banged up. Nobody has a hamstring injury. Nobody has a shoulder injury. Tyrese Halliburton is a different player than Jokic. They have a better coach. The Thunder have beaten teams who... Chris Finch, who all he does is fucking complain about the referees, and two coaches who had about 2 weeks of experience. Those are the two teams that they've beaten. They're facing Rick Carlisle, a guy who beat the Miami Heat team with the Mavericks, a guy who has a title. He's facing an actual good coach for once. Zach, I appreciate you. I know you're always watching. I'm sorry if I'm very pessimistic today. I don't have any hope after last night.
I do. My nephew has completely swithed the script on me, because he tells me you were right, Uncle. You were right, because I was like I tried telling you that this is not going to be an easy series, because I was like, I do a podcast every week with a guy who's probably the most pessimistic Thunder fan ever. So he tells me all the weak points and the weaknesses of the Thunder. And I was like, they seem to lax when they have a lead and they keep the door open. And this is the one team that you can't do that against. So I'm not surprised that the Pacers got 2 wins in this series. I also, like Zach, I said Thunder in 6. It is a bit of an uphill battle at this point. Like I said,
they're not going to win.
I will go out on a limb and I will say
the
winner of game 4 is winning this series.
They're not going to win 3 straight. They're definitely not going to win 3 straight.
No, because it's going to be close games, and the Thunder haven't been really that good in close games against anyone, pretty much.
I had no confidence last night. Up 5 in the fourth quarter. Because it's like, oh, this is going to be a close game. Wonder what's going to happen in a close game between a team who never misses in close games and a team who is hit and miss in close games. What happened was the team that never misses won. Just stupid plays last night. They inbounded the ball to Indiana 3 times. They just gave them the ball. Like, here's some free points for you. Just stupid plays.
I think, who was it? Shea had like 10 turnovers or something like that.
I don't think Shea had quite 10 turnovers, but Shea wasn't good. No, nobody was good. The defense was awful. A historically great defense can't stop TJ McConnell. Historically great defense. That's what everybody told me. And a 30-year-old 5'6" white guy who looks like he should be at the YMCA playing.
I'm just saying he's a B tier American white. I mean, I told you that Chet has the white boy crown right now. He had a pretty good game last night.
No, he didn't. No, don't look at the box score, SP3. Don't box score watch. Don't do that.
No, I'm not box score watching. I watched some of the game too.
Okay.
He had a bunch of key turnovers, but you didn't. Pretty good. I didn't say great. I said pretty good game.
No, you didn't watch the game like I watched the game. Don't box score watch. Don't.
I'm not. Score watching.
He didn't have a good game. He had a good quarter. He had a good first quarter. That's what he had. 1/4 of a good game is not a pretty good game. It's still a bad game. He was great in the first quarter. Great. After that, he got beat defensively on every pick and pop. He couldn't do anything offensively. He has no jump shot still. He had a great first quarter. And then he was gone the rest of the game. So no, he did not have a pretty good game. He had a really good quarter.
I can't have a conversation about this game.
Dude, I'm correcting you. I mean, he didn't have a pretty good game, SV3. He didn't.
So you have no optimism in regards. It's not a 0-0 series.
No, it's not a 0-0 series.
Can he if the Thunder win Game 4, is it a 0-0 series?
No.
Okay.
The series is over. The Pacers haven't lost 2 straight games in 3 months. 3 months. They haven't lost 2 straight games. Why am I supposed to believe they're going to all of a sudden lose 2 straight games now? Nothing about this team has shown that they are going to flinch and they are going to falter. Nothing. They haven't trailed in any playoff series. They've come in every single playoff series and beaten better teams. They've beaten higher seed teams outside of game 1 or series 1 against the Bucks. They've beaten teams that were ranked higher than them. They beat a 60-win team already. They're the better team. They are simply the better team. Maybe they don't have better players, but they are the better team. I don't see how OKC wins. They didn't even shoot well from 3 last night. They're going to have a great shooting performance from 3 in game 4. Because they always have at least one great shooting performance from 3. People, have faith. It's not over yet. I've resigned that this team, the Oklahoma City, is just never going to win a title. No matter what. They can have a Hall of Fame player. They can have multiple Hall of Fame players. They can have an easy path to the finals. They can have historically great regular season. They can be up 3-1. Everything can seem set up for them to win a title. And something will happen to where they don't. Whether it's an injury, whether it's a historically great shooter forgetting how to shoot in the biggest game of the season, whether it's a team of destiny that they run into, something will go wrong to where they just never win a championship. It's that simple. They're never going to win a title. Never. My bank account's a lot healthier after this series, though. I'll say that. It's a lot healthier.
You hedge bet? How much are you gonna make?
I have made about $600 on this series so far. And it's not over. And I'm going to keep betting this way because I'm going to continue to make money. I'm either going to be happy or I'm going to be bank account healthy. I prefer happiness, but I'm never going to be happy when it comes to sports. So I'm at least going to profit on.
You were happy a couple of years ago with
my
the abs.
depression. Yeah, sure. That's a
You gotta
thing.
hold on. You gotta hold on to that happiness. I've been holding on to the happiness of 2020 Lakers title for a while now.
I respect that you can do that. Honestly,
Yeah.
I do. I can't do that because something is just always going to go wrong. There's a new season. There's just a new season.
Mm-hmm.
We're just never going to win. Anyway, pro wrestling was last night.
This is a depressing start to the show. Well, guys,
Shay's out of Club Superstar, by the way. I'm kicking him
come
out.
on. Now this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous now. We're not
I'll replace him.
We're not ejecting him from Club Superstar.
He's out.
Just because
I'll replace him.
because Nemhard is in his head, we're not gonna do that to him.
I don't think it's not an individual effort from the Pacers.
It's everybody. It's multiple people they're throwing at him.
Yeah, they have a great scheme against him. It's not an individual effort. I'll replace him. I have his replacement lined up already in the club. He ain't even got to show ID. They know he's there. He ain't even got to show ID. SB3. Like, oh, you've been here. Yeah, we know who you are.
Who?
Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle's in Club Superstar.
I mean, no. If we want to make a coach superstar a club, we could do that. And Rick Carlisle, if he's able to finish the job in this one, he has two of the most remarkable NBA championship wins of all time. The 2011 Dallas Mavericks beating the Heatles was unbelievable at the time that it happened. Some people still are in disbelief that team was able to beat LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh all in one. You know, that's a remarkable championship, but this might be even more remarkable that they were a 4th seed below 500 heading into 2025. The games that they come behind wins in all these series, including game 1 of the NBA finals. And then if he's able to finish the job here, yeah, he belongs in the VIP section of Coach Superstar.
He will. I think you owe the Pacers an apology. You personally. Do you remember after game 5 of Milwaukee what you said about the Pacers?
What did I say?
Why are they celebrating so much? Act like you've been there before. You got on them for celebrating too much after game 5 against.
I know I got on in there for Halliburton's dad getting in Giannis's face.
It was also the full on celebration. Yeah. And I told you,
I'm always gonna keep that same energy. No, I'm not apologizing for anything. I don't need to apologize for anything. They better keep that same energy and times it by 10 when they win the NBA championship. That's all they need to do. That's all they need to do.
They will. You know why they celebrated so much?
Don't celebrate no first round wins like that. No.
You know why they celebrated so much after that game 5 first round win?
They knew. They knew.
They were like, if we won this game, who's stopping us? Like, who's going to stop us? The Cavs? The Thunder? Fraud-ass regular season teams? Those teams ain't stopping us.
Fraud-ass regular season team.
That's what I've been told. That's what I was told all regular season and all playoffs, is that these are just fraud regular season teams. All those people are going to be correct, and then they're going to celebrate how they were correct. See, told you. The fraud regular season team.
They're going to be like, Shea didn't deserve MVP. They're going to be talking all types of crap.
Yep. And they would deserve it, because they would be right. Yeah. They would be right. Jay-Z loses $1 million after Indiana Pacers win NBA Finals Game 3. Che, come to me for your gambling advice. I could have told you. Come on. Spot me some money here, Jay.
Don't worry, Jay. Don't worry, Jay. Put your money on the Thunder in Game 4.
No.
They're winning Game 4.
If you want to lose it, sure.
They're winning Game 4.
They're not winning Game 4. They're not winning Game 5.
Don't listen to him, guys. Only one of us predicted the Thunder would be here. And only one of us also predicted the Indiana Pacers would do this to his nephew. So I'm not worried. I'm not as worried as Jeremy, because I have no horse in the race. It's only about me being right, why I'm worried about. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to keep the optimism. The series is not over. It's not over. Game 4, the winner of Game 4 will win this series. But if you haven't already, we are almost 20 minutes into the show. Drop a thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, family, on all your favorite social media platforms. It goes a long way to help out the Fightful Overbook community. You could sound off in the live chat, get your XP points to potentially get your Brian Alvarez cameo, where he could give you -5 stars. Like I'm gonna give Xeno Hour -5 stars. You guys in the chat are supposed to be optimistic with me, not be Debbie Downers like my co-host here. He's the only one that has a horse in this race. You guys need to stop with that. Xeno Hour, you get -5 stars. But yeah, get your XP points. Send a super chat donation if you want your comment highlighted on screen. And always appreciate the support. But we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite and Collision Summer Blockbuster on today's show. We'll talk about any of the latest news. We have any notes or anything we want to talk about from NXT the day prior, even though Jeremy probably doesn't remember any of that. We could talk about that. And of course, it is a Thursday, and you know what that means. We're going to the C-suite. The C-suite. I'll save the song for when we get to it. But yes, we got a lot to discuss on today's show. Jeremy, move away from the NBA talk. How are you feeling?
Wait, what do you mean? How am I feeling?
Take the NBA feeling away. Like you gotta remove that. Remove that. How are you feeling?
Hey, guy with cancer. How are you feeling? Remove your cancer. Just take away.
Oh my God!
How you have your cancer.
We are comparing a basketball team losing to cancer?
Yeah. Hey, Miss Lincoln. Other than your husband's brains that are leaking, how was the play this weekend?
So we're gonna compare someone getting shot in the head to the Thunder losing a game in a 7-game series.
Yeah.
Anywho, AEW Dynamite and Collision Summer Blockbuster was last night. Jeremy, from what you saw on the show, I know you were busy watching something else, but from what you saw on the show, what was your overall thoughts on the Summer Blockbuster?
I liked the two things that I remember, which was Ospreay and Swerve and Okada and Omega. Those were
those were the two two of the three big blockbuster-esque angles on the show that built towards All In Texas, and I think those were like the main talking points from the show. We'll wait a little bit before we get into what was on the thumbnail here, but yes, AEW Dynamite and Collision Summer Blockbuster. My overall thoughts: this was much better paced and basically delivery, as far as delivering a show that's not only a good wrestling show in a vacuum for the 4 hours, or some people I know probably only watch the first 2 hours. First 2 hours was a great episode of Dynamite. But instead of what we got last week, which was a really mid and declining in quality episode of Collision, this was more of like a 2025 Collision, where it followed up some things that happened on the Dynamite episode. It delivered some good wrestling and some great wrestling with the standby matchup and one of the women's matchups on that show. This was a good episode of Collision. So I thought that this was a better paced show overall. And the big critique that I had from last week's show that I ranted about on In the Weeds, to the point that I ranted so much I had no energy to rant about it when I was on AE Ramble, yet I did rant about it. So check out last week's AE Ramble to hear that rant, see if it matches up with the one I gave here last week. This was a stark upgrade when it came to the treatment and how they booked the women's division. I'm not going to give them flowers and too much praise, because it's all about consistency with the level of, how you book and the content that you give to the women's division. But it definitely was an improvement. So Tony Khan did hear the criticism, did understand what he needed to do on this show. And I think he did a better job of highlighting different women. And, I think I talked about it last week, that I had someone in my comments when I made the complaint, like, oh, they had 12 different women on the show. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. Yes, it is. It's about quantity of the minutes that you give to the women's division, and it's also about the quality. And I think that this was a better meeting of the middle of both of those things on this show. They featured a lot of women on the show, not just in matches, but in different backstage angles as well. And I thought the story progression for the women's division was really well done. They set up things for All in Texas, they set up things for next week's Grand Slam Mexico, and they set up things more long term in regards to storyline. So a very, very well done job of having some improvement in that stake. So I just wanted to put that out there from the start. But since Jeremy, you remember two things from last night's show, we'll start off with the first thing that you said you remembered, which was the opener to Dynamite Summer Blockbuster, Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland 2. What did you think about this matchup overall? To give the synopsis, this was a 30-minute matchup, which probably was the right decision for this to go, because I think we talked about it last week when this match was made, that it was likely this was not going to have a result. Either the Death Riders or Young Bucks would get involved to cause a double DQ, or they would do the time limit draw. I think the right choice was the time limit draw, because we were able to get 30 minutes of just fantastic pro wrestling between two of the best pro wrestlers in the world. They told a great story of them being friends and knowing each other very well and knowing what the other was going to do, countering the different moves that the other person would deliver. It was hard hitting and physical right from the opening, where they had like a nice little exchange with one another that caused Ospreay's nose to bleed, and that added to the drama and the story that they were telling. The crowd was into things. Will hit like 4 or 5 hidden blades throughout this matchup. You got some great near falls in the closing stretch on like the Swerve Stomp and the Stormbreaker, and then there was a lot of drama towards the end when there was a minute left, and Swerve hits the house call. He's trying to go for the Swerve Stomp on the apron, but he slips up just a bit, and the time runs out, and they got the right response from those fans in Portland that basically booed it being a time limit draw. Then they got a big pop when Swerve suggested them going to sudden death, and then they got the rightful amount of boos when the Death Riders come out and seem like they're going to ruin this. And then it's actually the Young Bucks who get even more heat, attacking Swerve, handcuff him to the ropes. They pull out the thumbtack answers, Swerve answer sneakers. They deliver super kicks to Swerve multiple times as he's in the handcuff. And then the Death Riders give him the thumbtack answers. They put the thumbtack answers on. They're about to deliver that to Swerve to get their revenge for Anarchy in the Arena. When Will Ospreay pays off the promo that he delivered last week, where he was like, I would take a bullet for Swerve Strickland, and he takes a bullet, but more like a thumbtack bullet, right to the face for Swerve, stepping in front of him, taking the double super kick with the thumbtacks, and basically busted all open. And Swerve had to check on his friend and realize that he has to take his friend seriously now, because he is a man of his word and didn't mean what he said. And then they made it even better during the second half of the show when they had the backstage segment that followed up on the first half of the show with the Death Riders, who basically, we started off the show with Hangman and Christopher Daniels having a conversation where Daniels says that Hangman needs to basically redeem himself and rectify his past transgressions to a lot of the people on the roster, because it's not just Moxley he's got to handle at All In. He can beat Moxley, but it's not Moxley he has to worry about. He has to worry about the Death Riders and Gabe Kidd. So he needs more than just him to do that. And we see that Moxley was hidden in a hat listening to all of this, and then the Death Riders followed Hangman in, and that would be paid off later in the show when Death Riders brought out kidnapped Hangman Page, who was tied up and gagged with some tape, and Moxley basically cuts the same promo that Will Ospreay cut a couple of weeks ago, where he's like, the fans want you, you've been on this redemption arc, you need to beat them, but what happens when you lose to me, when you fail everybody, what's gonna happen to you? You'll be nothing. That led to Hangman headbutting him. Then Claudio was gonna stomp a chair on his neck. The ops come out to make the save, and Hangman says he's gonna go looking for the Death Riders, and instead he goes and he tries to check on Will Ospreay Ospreay, who got the thumbtack super kick, and he runs into the Young Bucks, who says that they've been trying to pave the way for Hangman to bring the AEW World Championship back to the Elite. That's the whole reason they've been keeping Swerve busy, is to keep him out of the way. But then Hangman responds and tells them off, saying, this is the last time I want to tell you this. I don't want anything to do with y'all. Stay out of my business, stay out of Ospreay's business, and stay out of Swerve's business. Cinema. I was like, let's go. And we see all the while Prince Nana was listening from inside the trainer's room, and also Swerve Strickland was listening as well. So that is like the main event story that happened throughout the 4 hours. And I like the fact that they paced that well, where they spread it out throughout the first hour. You had the opening 30-minute matchup with the post-match at the beginning. In the middle, you had the Hangman and Death Riders part with the Ops making the save. And then during the second half of the show, you had the backstage segment with Hangman, Young Bucks, Nana, and Swerve. So very well paced for the main event angle. What did you think?
Thought it all insisted upon itself. No. Will Ospreay and Swerve was a great match. Once they started going like longer, I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna do time limit draw, aren't they? They're not gonna do a finish on this. And then every time like the announcers reference the clock, it's almost a giveaway. Like 9 out of 10 times that means it's gonna be a time limit draw. So when the announcers were referencing the clock, it's like, oh yeah, this is going to a draw here. The finish was very funny in that Ospreay's on the apron and Swerve climbs to the top rope, and I think it was Taz like, you got to get him in the ring. You got to get him in the ring. I was like, yeah, dude, you do. What is this stomp out here gonna do? He's still on the apron. He might fall to the outside. There's like 10 seconds left. What is this going to accomplish here? And then I don't know if they just messed up the cue, because Swerve had to like go to the top and then slip and then get to the top again, because they wanted the visual of him standing on the top before, as the time rang. And I don't know if Swerve was early on that, but they got the visual regardless. Swerve should have just done the stomp anyway and then asked for overtime. Like, be a man, prove you can still beat me. Let's do overtime, even though I just stomped you out. I thought the post-match was really good, though, with Death Riders and Young Bucks coming out and Young Bucks attacking Swerve, and then Ospreay taking the thumbtack super kick for him. So we're going to set up the tag team match between Ospreay and Swerve and the Bucks at All In. And again, overall, I thought it was a really hot start to the show with everything they did. And then leading through the through line throughout the rest of the show with Hangman and the Bucks and confronting them and the Death Riders and everything. So I thought it was overall good piece of business.
Yeah. They're really doing a great job with this main event angle heading into All In. It's making more people believe that Hangman is gonna have Will Ospreay putting together the Avengers, Captain Britain, Will Ospreay putting together the Avengers for good old drunken Tony Stark, who's going for the AEW World Championship. And it was very well done. I thought Moxley was good in that segment with the gag and bonded Hangman Adam Page. Him just basically doing an inverse promo of the Will Ospreay promo was a nice touch. And it made sense why Hangman didn't get involved in the opening segment, because they set it up with the first backstage segment where Hangman's talking to Christopher Daniels, and then the Death Riders follow him in. They basically ran up on him and basically had him basically in the back tied up and had tape over his mouth until it was ready for his segment, so he couldn't get involved in the opening part. So everything made sense. It was just very well done. I like what they're building with Will and Swerve versus the Young Bucks, as well as the Moxley and Hangman. I felt like last week was really kind of like a good start to the proper rivalry between Moxley and Hangman heading into All In, and this was a nice little follow-up here. I've really been loving the passion and the fire that Hangman's been showing on the mic. He's really kind of picking it up, and you're like feeling everything he said. You feel the intensity coming off of him every time he talks about winning the AEW World Championship and wanting to save the company, and you believe every word he's saying. And really enjoyed the back and forth with him and the Young Bucks. I love the Young Bucks being like, "We're doing this for you. We're keeping them busy for you." And it just Hangman saying that he'd stay out of Swerve's business. I was like, oh, we're getting this is basically the follow-up to the pre-dynasty story that they were telling with Hangman and Swerve, where Swerve basically was like, I know I shouldn't have done all this shit to you. I shouldn't have started all this shit. And now we're seeing Hangman kind of coming to that realization that he needs to put this all aside if he's going to be able to accomplish his goals. So it's very, very well done, intricate storyline going on between those two builds to those two matches and how they're interweaving with one another. Yeah. I love you too, Cam.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Last night, it was good stuff. That's all I got.
This guy just got nothing. He's got nothing for me. He's just launching. He's just launching for 30 feet, and not even. He's launching from like 10 feet away from the basket and getting air balls. He's got nothing.
I don't have energy today. That's what
you walked around for like 2-3 hours last night. Of course you don't. You're tired.
Yeah, that was after, Tuesday. I drove for 6 hours, round trip, went to a Kendrick Lamar concert, burned a lot of energy, played soccer into the kids. It was kids versus parents at soccer last night. And I don't go easy on those kids.
No, you go hard in the paint.
They were yelling at me for going.
You're the guy that blocks the shots for the 5-year-olds at the basketball court.
Yeah, they were 100%. The kids were yelling at me. They're like, "Why are you trying so hard against kids?" I'm like, "Why are y'all trying so hard against adults, man? We're old. Y'all knock it off. Y'all got all the energy." And I was going hard. I got an assist in the soccer game. Everybody praised me. Yeah, I was going hard in the soccer game. No, I don't have energy. I don't have mental energy, much less physical energy. The wrestling was good. It was fine. The wrestlers wrestled. Did you know that AEW is where the best wrestle? And Will Ospreay.
Yes, I saw it in that opening matchup. That was the second best Dynamite match of the year, Swerve and Ospreay. Right behind Ospreay and Takeshita matchup. That's the best.
Ospreay and Swerve are two of the best wrestlers, and AEW is where the best wrestle. So the best wrestlers did the best wrestling.
You're not happy that you got to see the Vanilla Baby on last night's show?
Didn't get an entrance because Tony Khan won't pay for Jack Harlow. So,
well, he didn't wrestle.
Who didn't wrestle?
Blake. Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did. I totally forgot about the Mystico match. I'll be honest with you. I was only remembering his backstage segment with Ricochet. But yeah, he did wrestle, but
yeah, didn't get an entrance.
It was about Mystico. He got like 2 moves in that matchup. Who
cares about Mystico?
I do. I care about sloppy Sin Cara.
I watched enough sloppiness with the Oklahoma City Thunder offense last night. So,
God, this guy. Who would win between Jeremy's youth soccer team and Cher's youth soccer team? I'm gonna go with Cher.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I'm not the coach, by the way. I don't coach the kids, so Cher actually coaches and stuff.
Yeah, she's a coach.
Yeah, I just go and support. Yeah, last night was just. It was the last practice, so they just do parents versus kids. So it's not like coaches versus kids. It's just whichever parents are there. I was playing in slides, by the way, for the first part of it. I wouldn't even wear shoes. Why would you do that? Because I took the kids to the practice, and I didn't know it was parents versus kids. This is something they just sprung on us as we were there. So I wasn't gonna wear shoes. I just wore my slides out. It's nice out. So I wore slides, and they're like, "Oh, it's parents versus kids." I was like, "Oh, well, I'm in, but I got to get some actual shoes." But I wasn't just going to sit out and not play for the first however long while I waited on my lovely wife to bring me shoes. So I was out there playing in slides, and then my wife showed up, got me my shoes and everything, and then I went out there. I was playing harder in my shoes, but I was still getting in there with my slides as well. I don't care. I gotta get after it, man. Slides,
Hard in the
barefoot.
paint. Shorty, what you think?
I'm getting out. I'm getting after it. So yeah, I was playing in slides for probably the first 5 minutes or so. Playing in slides. Then I got some shoes. I don't keep a pair of cleats in the car.
Apparently not.
It might be smart, but no, I wasn't
I've never owned
planning
a pair
for
of
this.
cleats before.
Yeah, we don't have cleats and stuff. Just playing in tennis shoes, stuff
Yeah.
there.
Never owned a pair. But yeah, that, like I said, Ospreay, Swerve, second best Dynamite match of the
The
year
best
for me,
wrestlers wrestled the best. Yeah.
besides Ospreay and Takeshita from Spring Breakthrough. That's still the best match that I've seen. Mystico, he looked good against Blake Christian. Blake Christian was also there. Mystico looked good. It set up Mystico and MJF for Arena Mexico next week, Grand Slam Mexico. MJF, yeah, that was a nasty line, calling him. He was like, "You're just sloppy Sin Cara to me." And MJF is bringing back his Mr. USA character next week. We got the streamers, the ridiculous amount of streamers. I still remember how he had the ridiculous amount of streamers at All in London last year, and they were all stuck on the structure above the ring. It was hilarious because it was stuck there the rest of the night. I think that the streamers really messed up the setup for the trios matchup because the baby faces had to like pause and stuff to make their dives to the outside. So that was fun. The flag bit is always a good time, and I like Sin Cara showing a little passion on the microphone. I did understand some of the Espanol as well, like MVP did, who absolutely popped for MJF rocking the MVP gear. That might have been the biggest pop of the night for me. It's him rocking MVP like bodysuit that said MJF. That was awesome. The trios match was pretty good. It wasn't as great as last week's matchup with LFI and Jet Speed and Commander. Commander got taken out by Hurt Syndicate, and apparently Sean Rossap of our very own Fightful Select, the best $6 in the game. He reported that Commander is actually injured, and that's why they did the angle to write him out of the trios matchup, hoping that Commander has a speedy recovery. But it does make some sense that Commander is out. He went all out, on last week's match, and he's been quite active over the last couple of weeks. So it made sense with them doing that whole write-off the way they did it, where you didn't see them actually attack Commander. You just heard the clinging and blanging, and then he's already on the ground when the camera's actually on him. Whenever they do an angle like that, it's usually, oh, this guy's really hurt. We're just doing an angle to kind of explain it. So that made sense to do that. And I thought Mascarero Dorado, he deserved to be in this as the replacement because he had a standout performance in last week's 4-way. And this one, he was pretty good as well again. Jet Speed losing here, I don't like that too much. I would have said that even though Dorado took the loss last week, I would have preferred Dorado losing in this matchup just to keep Jet Speed strong, because I feel like Jet Speed is one of the only tag teams that you have to put against the Hurt Syndicate. And we only got a month till All In Texas, and I don't want to see these haphazardly put together tag team title feuds, but it seems like we're getting a haphazardly put together title feud because you just pinned Speedball in this matchup. Even though MVP basically cheated, they're going to have to do something big to kind of get them in position if they're going to be the challengers for Hurt Syndicate at All In Texas, but we shall see. And then they got washed in the post match, so you're really putting yourself behind the 8 ball here.
MVP's just gonna come out and say, "You loser ass dork, we ain't facing you. You lost in these trios match. You got beat up by the Almighty, by Shelton Benjamin. You're just a giant loser. What do we need to prove anything against you?" And then they'll give Jet Speed a win over Crew and Top Flight, and then they'll be like, Jet Speed and Hurt Syndicate. This is the match to make. There you go. That's how they're setting that up.
Probably. You're probably 100% right. You're probably 100% right here, because they seem to not put any effort into these tag team title feuds. It mainly makes me question, though, what are they doing with MJF at All In Texas? Because at this point, it really does feel like the only thing that he could do is be in like a Casino Gauntlet type matchup, because they haven't set. And MJF, he loves his long build. So if he was facing someone of significance at All In Texas, they would have already started the build in some way to that matchup. So it makes me feel like they are going to put him in some type of Casino Gauntlet, which makes sense because he has been telling the story that he is looking to get back the Triple B, the AEW World Championship. So him being in a Casino Gauntlet does make sense. But I don't know if that's the right use of MJF, because MJF, for better or worse, is like a top 2, top 3 draw in AEW. And I think that if you gave him someone of significance to face at All In, you could sell more tickets, because you saw the big kind of improvement or movement in the ticket sales for All In Texas when they announced Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. And yeah, I don't think there's a lot of matches that even with MJF that's going to move the tickets that an Okada Omega matchup would move, but he is someone that could help if you add that to the already listed matches of Hangman and Moxley and Mercedes and Tony, and then Okada Omega 5. If you get MJF in there against one of your top stars in some way, that would do even better movement for the ticket sales. So I think it's a give and take with everything else they have planned with Swerve and Ospreay versus the Young Bucks. That's gonna help in some way. They'll probably announce that on next week's show. But I feel like they probably should have done something else to position MJF in a major singles match in some way. But him being in a Casino Gauntlet is not the worst thing in the world.
What about MJF against Chris Jericho?
No, thank you.
All right.
I thought you were going to say Christian Cage, and I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. That's awesome. Who's the bigger dickhead? Oh, man. He's the bigger asshole. Oh, man, that would be great.
A legitimate suggestion. MJF against Darby Allin. Darby comes back, and MJF basically, Darby wants to go after Moxley, but Moxley is now tied up and very in the feud with Hangman, Ospreay, and Swerve. So it makes sense that he wouldn't be there. So MJF cuts that off. It's like, dude, you left. You went to go climb a mountain like a geek. People get on me for not wrestling. Like, I'm here every week. You're out here climbing mountains and stuff. And then Darby responds back of like, climbing a mountain is more than just showing up and talking and boring all these fans and using others to get what you want. I went out there and I proved I could do that. I planted the AEW flag at the top of the world. Like, that's much more than you've ever done for the company. There's easy lines between these two. And you do Darby and MJF. What about that?
I wouldn't mind that. Okay. I wouldn't mind that. I think there's a direction that you can go in that regard. I would even, if you're talking about MJF versus returning star, give me MJF versus Eddie Kingston. I wouldn't mind that either as well, because I feel like there is a story to tell there in a way, because you could say that, we're all banding together. Like, it's similar to the Darby, where the AEW guys are trying to band together to stop Moxley and win the AEW World Championship, while MJF's over here keeps saying that he's going for the AEW World Championship, but he doesn't want to work to get there. So I've been working my ass off in rehab to get back here. I'm not going to let you skip the line and get to the front when I've never been the AEW World Champion. And you could build it as like some type of number one contenders matchup. And I think the promo work between Eddie Kingston and MJF can be fantastic over the next 3 to 4 weeks on AEW television. So Yeah, there's a couple of different directions if they have someone return to face him, but I think for right now, I tend to feel that we're aiming in direction of him going into a casino gauntlet type situation, and him having the contract and looking to cash in. I think is an easy way for MJF to get back to the AEW World Championship.
And Darby's never beaten MJF either. They had the one singles
Yeah.
match and then the pillars match.
And he's beaten him twice with a headlock takeover.
Yeah. So I think there's a story there if they would decide to go that way. Yeah, I don't know when Eddie's supposed to be back. I mean, the rehab seems to be going well, but I don't know like when he's actually supposed to be back. So, I don't know. Still not ideas. It does seem like he's probably going to be in the casino gauntlet, and he should. Like, it would make sense if he comes out last and then just picks the carcasses of. Or it'd be very funny if like his music hits, and then that's when the finish happens. Like, as he's walking down to the ring, he's the last person. They announce like, "Oh, MJF is the last person in this match." And that's when the finish happens. Like, he doesn't even get in the ring. It's speculation that they're going to do a casino gauntlet just because they did it last year. Nothing's been confirmed on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they should do that finish at some point with the casino gauntlet. It's like, this is the last person in, and the finish happens as they're walking down to the ring. Like, you gotta get down there quicker. Get down there quicker, man. You can't just be taking your time to saunter on down to the ring. We'll see what they got for MJF. I think there's possibilities for him, but yeah, looking at like the current roster and who's there, like they've been teasing stuff with like Swerve, Hangman, and Ospreay, and he's obviously not involved in that story with the Elite and Death Riders. So, and he's obviously not gonna face any one of those three at All In. So where does he kind of fit in? And I think Casino Gauntlet is probably the correct choice, but if Darby comes back, if Eddie Kingston comes back, I think there's a spot for him there. Maybe he'll defend the tag team titles with the Hurt Syndicate. They'll do.
Oh, they do an angle where like Shelton gets injured and MJF has to fill in for Shelton.
Could do something like that. Freebird rule it. And
yeah.
We'll see. They got a few weeks left, so we'll see.
We shall see.
Ballaby sends us a super chat. His typical super chat. We appreciate you, Ballaby. He says, "Vanilla fumble."
I'm vanilla, baby.
Is what we call when we give Blake a jobber entrance. Vanilla fumble is also
I'm vanilla, baby.
what we call it with Ricochet denying Vanilla Baby and Shoddy. Yeah, very sad.
No. And he was right to deny them. They're just some wannabe ricochets.
Dude, it's very... I hate this from AEW, where they give Blake Christian the jobber entrance because Tony Khan won't pay for the rights to Love It On Me by Jack Harlow. And then
that's the reason. Not that he's a jobber.
Yes. No, it's because he won't pay for the rights to the song. But then they do the graphic for Blake Christian of he's won 9 straight matches on ROH.
I wish they would stop talking about that. He's had multiple matches on AEW and he's yet to win. He has only won on AEW Dark. He has never won on Dynamite or Collision.
It's so stupid that they do that. Like, what is the purpose of saying that? Because he's going to lose this match. You know it. Like, the fans even know it before it starts. Like, oh, I wonder who's going to win. This guy who got the jobber entrance or Mystico. Like, who's going to lose this match. So saying, hey, guys, he's won 9 matches on ROH. Are you trying to get people to watch ROH to watch him win there because he's a giant loser on AEW television? Like, to me, it just buries ROH. Yeah. It's just like, yeah, this guy who never wins on AEW, he's great in ROH. It's like, oh, so these ROH guys must really suck if they keep losing to this guy who never wins on ROH television. Like, it's so It's so dumb. Just don't say it. Just don't do it. Like, do something of, hey, if, during the match, like, Blake's doing, like, his stuff and he looks impressive. Like, you can watch Blake every Thursday on ROH. Like, he's always regularly competing there. It's like, all right, maybe I'll check out some ROH because Blake Christian is having a good performance here. But to highlight that he's won all these matches on ROH when he's going to lose, it's like, great. You're just a giant-ass loser. I can't stand it that they keep doing it. They've done it for like 4 weeks now because it was 8 wins, but now it's 9 wins. So he's clearly won another one, but it's so terrible. Like, just stop.
It's pissing you off.
It's just dumb. It's just dumb. At least give him a win on AEW TV. Give him a win on Collision. Like, and then it might be like, oh, okay, he's won 9 matches. Oh, all right. He loses literally every match he's in on AEW TV. So yeah, you just make him look like a loser, and then you make ROH look like a bunch of losers because nobody can beat him.
And we still don't know why he's paired up with Lee Johnson. They've never even tried to explain that. They just became friends. Vanilla chocolate, yes.
That's it. Yeah, they're just friends.
White chocolate. It's white chocolate.
There's no real explanation. I don't mind like Ricochet turning them down, by the way. Like, I don't think those are the guys. I don't think those are the guys to be like heaters for him. He needs like big dudes for him. You know what? Oof. I don't wish this on poor Ricochet, but I'm gonna put it out in the universe anyway. I'm gonna put it out in the vortex anyway. Ricochet tries to recruit Brian Keith and Big Bill, and then it leads to Jericho.
Jericho comes back as a babyface. Let's go, babyface run for Jericho. Hero to the people, coming to save the learning tree from the titanical rule of Ricochet.
I don't wish that for Ricochet, but I do think Brian Keith and Big Bill would be good heaters for him, legitimately.
Yeah,
like I do think that would be a very good trio. But yeah, that would also mean being involved in the Jericho vortex, and I don't know. I don't wish that on Ricochet. He's doing too good of work to get stuck in there.
I'd much rather that than the random tag team feuds we're getting with the learning tree. Now we got Brian Keith and Big Bill versus the Workhorsemen, which I am pretty sure that if there were any fans that just primarily watched Dynamite and were still watching by the time that backstage segment went, they had no idea. I really like the Workhorsemen. I think that the Workhorsemen could be better utilized, especially on like your Ring of Honors and stuff like that. But I know that the casual AEW fan that only watches Dynamite had no idea who they were. Y'all need the graphics. Yeah, there's a reason why WWE, and this is something, I rarely say, something you want to get from WWE, it's during backstage segments, they have the lower third graphic that tells you who's on the screen. You need that in AEW. Like with that segment particularly, that would have been a great time to introduce that, where you get Brian Keith and Big Bill, but the ringing out the backstage, I think it was Lexi Nair, she said their name, so that's fine. But the Workhorsemen, immediately when they come on screen, a lower third should have came up, Workhorsemen, Anthony Henry, and JD.
And they were like, I know we haven't been on AEW television in a while, but we're still here. Did you forget about us? And I'm like, yeah, we kind of did. Like, I like JD Drake and Anthony Henry. They're fantastic. It's like, y'all, not only have y'all not been on television for a while, like y'all haven't even been, and I know they've been injured, so like not even AEW television, like y'all were on
not even
ROH.
Ring of Honor.
Yeah, like,
not even Ring of Honor TV.
Right, like when they were on TV, it was mainly ROH. Like when was, I'm looking this up, the last
had to be Collision, had to be an episode of Collision.
The last match Anthony Henry had on AEW TV was a singles match on Collision in September of 2024. Dude, they haven't had a tag team match on AEW TV since Yeah, May 30th, 2024. Over a year ago.
Because remember, they had
match.
when JD Drake returned, he was teaming up with Anthony Henry's second cousin,
Beef. Yeah.
Oh, Beef.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I forgot. That's my. He was my guy on Ring of Honor TV when I was reviewing the show. Beef. Second cousin. Hey cousin. Beef. Man, they needed to sign. They should have signed Beef. Beef is probably tearing it up on the NDC right now, and you're losing out, Ring of Honor. That was a great story that you had building, and you just let it go by the wayside. You need contenders to face the Sons of Texas, the Von Erichs and Dustin Rhodes, who have been champions forever. It's been forever, and they probably defended those titles like 4 times in a year. It's ridiculous. Beef. The cousins of Beef and Anthony Henry, along with JD Drake, they should be our Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions. Either them or MXM Collection and Johnny TV, MXM TV.
Remember when Grizzled Young Veterans returned?
Oh my God. Grizzled Young Veterans just pisses me off because they literally, when they got their debut at All In London, and it took Tony like maybe 2 months to be like, yeah, I don't really care anymore. He's like, I'm just gonna do this collision thing with them and FTR. They'll have one match. Outrunners will make the save for them in that one match. Then I'll have them lose to the Outrunners, and then I'm not gonna use them for like another 3-4 months.
They returned. It was so similar to this. Of like, hey, did you forget about us? Like, yeah, we did, dude. Like, we have not seen y'all in months. We did forget about you. And like, even when you were around, like, it ain't like you were doing a whole lot. Like, what were you guys doing when you were around besides losing? Like, no knock on.
I don't understand. Why does he hate Ring of Honor so much? Like, why does he either hate Ring of Honor so much or hate these people so much? Like, you can utilize these people on Ring of Honor and build stories around them, or at least have them pick up wins so they could be rival contenders for titles when a pay-per-view comes around. By the way, you have a pay-per-view coming up in less than a month that you haven't really started building for outside of last week closing Angle with Thunder Rosa making the save for Rachel Armstrong against Athena is pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you're doing Athena and Thunder Rosa because they're both from Texas at Supercard of Honor, which will be a great matchup. But he just doesn't care about Ring of Honor. Like, just don't book it. Sell it to somebody. Make some money and sell it to somebody because you don't care. You don't care no more. I'm very disheartening with his treatment of my beloved Ring of Honor.
Just give me the pencil. That's all I want. I didn't even want to get paid for it. I don't need to get paid to do it. I'll make you money, and then you can start paying me based on how much money I bring in for you. But I just want the pencil. That's it. I know we had the report. I don't know if you guys talked about it on Tuesday, but remember when Danhausen returned at Final Battle?
Yes, I do. I was there, Jeremy. I was there. Well,
even if you were there, like, you might not remember it because
I do remember it. It was one of the biggest pops of the night, and I was just like, "Oh, that's cool. He's gonna use Danhausen in Ring of Honor." Nope.
So, in the report from Fightful Select earlier this week, Danhausen made a late return on the ROH Final Battle show, which was put together in the days prior to the event. At the time, we were told that Danhausen would likely be figured into creative plans once again. However, he's not appeared since. Fightful is told that Danhausen's contract is up in July, and unless injury time is added to the deal. Considering there haven't been any creative plans for him in months, that would be surprising. Those we've spoken to said that Danhausen was welcomed backstage at Final Battle, and they were under the impression he'd be back in the fold as was he. Okay. And they were under the impression he'd be back in the fold, as was he. However, when Danhausen reached out a number of times following the event, he was told that they didn't plan on bringing him into television that particular week. We've not heard any plans for Danhausen on TV.
So stupid.
He just returned, and then he was never
For
seen
nothing.
again. Just give
For
me the pencil.
nothing.
Give me the ROH pencil. That's
Oh,
all I
it's
want.
it's getting me so upset. Like I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy that AEW television and the pay-per-views are better than it was at the latter half of 2024. It's been a stark improvement. Every week is kind of good to great on television. The pay-per-views have been very good to all-timer this year. But goddamn, if you don't care about Ring of Honor, then give it to somebody who does. You don't need to do everything, Tony Khan. Like, learn the lessons of the people that have failed before you. The last time we had someone who wanted to have his fingers and control every part of his company, it was Vince McMahon. And we've seen how bad things can get when it's someone like that. And that's how bad Ring of Honor is at this point. It's like worse than WWE ECW. It's WWE ECW with the amount of creative that was put into superstars after the initial run when they were booking top matches, and then it just was like, we don't care anymore. We don't care about that anymore.
Give it to me.
So frustrating.
That's it. That's all I want. I just want the pencil. Don't even care to get paid. Pay me in t-shirts. You're a t-shirt company. Just pay me in t-shirts. Then I can resell those t-shirts at a higher price. And that's how I'll profit. Just give me the pencil. I'll book it all remotely too. I don't even got to show up for the shows. You ain't got to pay for flights. And pay for anything. Give me the pencil. Cody Housen tag team debut at Halloween Havoc.
It's gonna happen.
I don't think WWE's gonna take Danhausen.
Danhausen and Mr. Iguana, the tag team.
They would get Danhausen would get over in that audience. Like,
Yes.
he gets over. Say what you will about him, but the dude gets over. Like, he just does.
And he knows how to sell merch.
He definitely moves merch. Yeah, he definitely moves merch. Like, I understand that he doesn't. He's not where the best wrestle. Like, he's not a great in-ring wrestler. He's fine for what his gimmick is.
Yeah.
But he's not the guy who's going to give you balls to the wall action like a lot of these AEW people are and like what they're built off of. So like I get that, but you can't find a spot for him on ROH. ROH? They ain't doing all that much. All right. Talk about Okada and Omega and the unified championship. Would you like to set all of this up?
Yeah, so they did a fan. Oh man, that video package gave me all types of feels because I lived through that.
It's gonna be copyright struck. They're not gonna be able to put that thing on YouTube. New Japan's gonna pull it.
TV Asani is gonna pull them for that.
I actually want to see if it's on YouTube. I want to see if they put it up there. I was waiting for them to get it pulled off of. It's on YouTube. Bless. It says the history of Okada and Omega. They managed to get the clearance. I'm waiting for it to just get pulled though. It wouldn't shock me if it does. TV. Was it TV Asia? TV. What is it?
TV Asani.
Asani?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I figured it'll get pulled. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So yeah, they did a video package going over the history of Okada and Omega from their New Japan matches. This was a phenomenal video package, like going over Okada being the ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling, having 7 reigns as IWGP heavyweight champion, and then being kind of like one of the greatest Japanese wrestlers of all time, and then the rise of Kenny Omega with the Bullet Club, being the leader of the Bullet Club, rising to become the first Gaijin to win the G1 Climax tournament, and then get the shot at Kazuchika Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 11. They did the highlights from the first matchup and how it was this game-changing bout, a war for the ages that put both men and the company on the map in front of 40,000 fans in the Tokyo Dome. I actually rewatched that matchup. Patreon.com/True Hill Heat. Me and Jimmy Macaram rewatched that matchup where even Jimmy Macaram said that's one of the greatest matches that he's ever seen. So it was very cool to kind of see the highlights after just recently rewatching that. And then it went into the second match from Dominion 2017, how Omega was more prepared for this matchup. He was able to hit the One Wing Angel, the one move he wasn't able to hit in the first matchup, but Okada gets his foot on the rope and both men are unable to defeat each other for a 60-minute classic that kept things basically neutral between the two heading into the G1 climax, a block final, 28-minute instant classic where Omega's finally able to defeat Okada, and then 1 year later it sets up the big showdown, no time limit, no draws, a 2 out of 3 falls matchup, and considered by many one of the greatest matchups of all time. And Kenny Omega finally defeats Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Just all the highlights of everything, the voiceover, the narration, it just made this feel like an epic showdown, and it really elevated how even like the casual fan that didn't live through it like most of us did, they now know why this is so important, why these two are considered one of the two of the greatest wrestlers of their generation in the world right now. It made it feel big time. And then they added to that with the contract signing, where they announced that, you know, something that we kind of discussed last week, where you said you thought that they were just going to have one of these guys hold both the international championship and continental championship and not kind of unify the title. They confirmed that it will be a title unification, and the winner of the matchup would become the new AEW Unified Champion with a brand new title that they show. Seen some mixed reactions to the title. I like the idea. I like the idea of the title. I like how the title looks. I think the title looks great. I just don't like the name. I don't like AEW Unified title. Continental title was right there. Intercontinental title. You might not want to do that. But Unified title, the name, I'm not too much of a fan of that. But the title looked beautiful to me. I like the idea of the title being a secondary top championship, and basically it's going to help AEW go in the direction of a brand split, which I think it's going to be needed if they do want to make Collision a commodity again that they can, you know, get TV rights deals for and stuff like that in the future. You're going to need like a brand split where Dynamite has a world champion and Collision has a world champion, and you could put the unified title over there. But this was a good step. That was it. I thought they were going to keep it very simple, because earlier in the night we did see Okada with a backstage interview that was interrupted by Don Callis. Callis asked the question of why his guys, Takeshita and Fletcher, weren't in this matchup instead of Okada. Okada basically grabbed Callis by the finger, and then the rest of the Callis family came in, and it kind of looked like they were leaning towards Okada kind of being a tweener going into the matchup with this segment, where he called Callis a bitch. And then Callis came out to interrupt the contract signing after the two men shook hands. And he once again is asking why Takeshita, why Fletcher are not in this matchup. And Omega basically thinking like a lot of fans were probably thinking that it was like, oh, they're basically setting up Okada and Omega having to team up with each other heading into the big showdown. But then Callis is like, oh, you know every chick in my book. Did you see this one coming? And Okada attacks Omega from behind. He has joined forces with the Don Callis family, which makes a lot of sense to me, because if you really think about it, all the guys that have beaten Kenny Omega in the last 2-3 years in AEW, they've all had to align with Don Callis. Don Callis has been the deciding factor for Moxley beating him in a steel cage, for Will Ospreay beating him at Forbidden Door 2023, with Takeshita getting his first win over Omega. It's all been Don Callis as a deciding factor. factor here, so it made sense to me. And it's kind of a juxtaposition from their first 4 matches, where Callis was always on commentary as the Bobby the Brain Heenan to Omega's Ric Flair, kind of cheering him on in the last 3 matches, and you heard that from the video package as well. So it's kind of turning that on his head, where Callis is now aligned with Okada. He brought out a police baton, which he blasted Omega right in the diverticulitis, right in the ribs, basically injuring Omega. You get a stretcher being put out. They're put on the bodyboard, and Okada hits him with a top rope elbow drop. Then they put him on the stretcher, and then Okada hits him with a second elbow drop off the apron onto Omega's ribs, and Omega starts spitting out blood. It was like he's spitting out a lung because of how much blood he was spitting out. It was almost cartoonish, but really, I thought it was a really effective angle that made it feel more personal and added some heat to Okada, because now he's aligned with one of the more effective heels in AEW in Don Callis. And I like how it was basically a callback to when Omega won the AEW World Championship and he ran out the building with Callis, with Alex Marvez trying to interview him. They kind of did that with Callis and Okada leaving the building. He's like, they're gonna kill us, let's go. Callis is awesome. I love Don Callis. Don Callis is the best non-wrestler in AEW today. What did you think?
Oh, that was a great segment. I don't like the unified title name either. I think it's kind of dumb. I'm still not sold that they're going to keep this unified title. I still think they're going to split them. I want to know when someone wins this title that's not Okada and Omega, did they get the side plates replaced? Because the side plates are Omega and Okada specific.
Yeah.
So does that get replaced? That's why I'm still not sold that, like, this is going to be a title that gets defended and stuff. It feels like it's just a title for Omega and Okada, and the winner gets it, but they still defend their other titles. But now they have the visual of 3 belts because they like doing that kind of thing. But yeah, I will not be sold on them keeping the unified title until they actually keep the unified title. I like the look of the title, though. It looks great. Like, I thought it was a very good looking title, and AEW has really good looking titles. You forget about it because they keep one in a briefcase, but they have good looking titles.
Yeah, I think the AEW World Championship is one of the most beautiful titles all time. It's a top 5 title, but they've kept it in briefcase for 9 months.
Yeah. Unified. They calling it the unified title. I don't love that that's the name of it. Because it does kind of imply, someone in our chat says, like, it implies that, like, it's a top championship. And, like, I agree, like, it makes it feel like it's the top championship, which is fine if they're going to treat it like a top championship. TNT title is now, I mean, look, that thing's been dead for 2 reigns now. The funniest thing, legitimately, was they do this big hot angle, and it was very good. And Callis, like, running, they're going to kill us. Like, it felt like real heat with Don Callis going and leaving and pulling Okada. And then they go to the announcers, and it's like, it's all about the boom. It's like, yeah, here comes Adam Cole after this blood-spitting angle.
Because you guys, because what they go, you probably got, like, watched it, like, ad-free, or I watched it on Fight. So they did stay with the commentators for, like, 30 seconds where they were like, oh my god, what did just happen here? And then it went, it's all about the boom. But I can imagine that, if you watched it on TBS, TNT, or on Max, it was different than that.
Yeah.
Kind of like last week.
Yeah. It's like, oh, here comes Adam Cole to be on commentary again, because apparently this is how we're using the TNT champion, as a on a commentary.
Even though he wrestled on the show. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
But I thought it was a good angle, and Callis aligning with Okada, or Okada aligning with Callis. Like, it makes sense because Callis is just always gonna be a thorn in Omega's side. I wonder if it's just a brief partnership because they're just, he's just using him for the Omega stuff. Because it doesn't fully make sense of why Okada, who was already aligned with the Elite, would now align with Callis, and why Callis would, like, outside of his hatred of Kenny Omega, which again, fair reason, would like want Okada when he has Fletcher and Takeshita, and
It.
he.
I think it was Evil of Russell Pierce. He said it. It's KD joining the Golden State Warriors.
Fair. I mean,
sure. you already have Steph Curry, Konosuke Takeshita, and Klay Thompson, Kyle Fletcher, and you got Draymond Green, Josh Alexander, and then you're adding Kevin Durant in Kazuchika Okada. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I do think that I agree that you need either Callis or Okada to say the reason they're aligning with one another is because of Callis's hatred towards Omega, and Okada realizes that everyone that beats Omega in AEW is aligned with Don Callis. If you look at the history, the guys that have beaten Kenny Omega in one-on-one matches in the last couple of years have usually 9 times out of 10 been aligned with Don.
Then if I'm Fletcher and Takeshita, I'm looking at Callis where like, you're bringing in this dude? Like,
I would love if this leads to a Takeshita babyface turn.
Yeah. We need Cinnabon Takeshita back. I miss that, man. This heel Takeshita. He's been great, but I miss the man who loves Cinnabon every single time. Very sad that it's been 2 years since we've had Cinnabon Takeshita. But yeah, we do need some side-eyeing from Fletcher and Takeshita of, why is he here now? Like, I thought we were the guys you were trying to uplift and bring to the top. Now you just go out and you recruit Okada. Okay. But it adds the extra heat to this match, and it makes it more than just like cool dream match that you know is going to be great in the ring. It gives it something more personal. And you could have theoretically honestly done that without the Don Callis stuff. Like, Okada's a heel. He could have just attacked Omega and done the same angle just without Don Callis being involved at all. But Don Callis, with his history with Omega, uplifts that more.
Yeah, because I think he's the key to adding the heat. Because I think if Okada attacks him in the same way, there's a chance that even when Okada's music hits, they're still going to respond to him the same way they always do, which is if he's wrestling, they're going to pop for him. But if you have the Okada entrance, you'll get an initial pop, and then you'll see Don Callis, and that's where the heat is going to come in.
Dude, I need Okada to wrestle full-blown heel at All In. Just chin locks, slow it down, work over the diverticulitis. Just that's the Okada that I want. None of this high spot stuff. None of that. I need full heel, fuck the crowd Okada at All In. Completely different than what people would expect.
I mean, this is going to be the first time out of all their matches together that Okada is the heel. Because like the first matchup, the first 2 matchups, Kenny wrestles as the heel. He has the Elite in his corner. He's got the over the top facial expressions. He slows it down. The brutal hits. Like I said, I just rewatched the matchup with Jimmy, and like the drop kick to the back of the missile drop kick to the back of the head is one of the most vicious things Kenny Omega has done in a matchup. And he was just so much faster 8 years ago than he is now. And it was just some of the stuff he was doing in the matchup was vicious. And, it was all about Okada coming up with different ways to reverse the one ring angel. And he attacked the lower back and then worked his way up the spine to the neck. So it was very much a heel based kind of game plan and how he worked that matchup. The second match, he attacks Okada's knee and he wears that down for a lot of the duration of the first half of that matchup until the kind of like final 20 minutes where it really becomes, we start to see the shades of babyface versus babyface between the two. And then the last 2 matches are very much babyface versus babyface, with Okada mainly kind of leaning more heel in the last matchup. But this is full on Okada as the heel from the opening bell. So this will make it immediately different than the previous 4 matches. So it's this whole angle, I thought, elevated the build. And then when you look at the movement of the seats, like you said earlier, 1,400 seats being moved in the last week since Okada and Omega was announced. it's making the argument that this might be the main event of the show, or should be the main event of the show. If the movement for the tickets continues, because of you have this game-changing matchup that really changed the business and changed the trajectory of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and is really kind of, a lot of people go back and say that if it's not for the success of that Okada Omega series, a lot of people don't think that All Elite Wrestling would exist. I think that there's going to be a strong argument from the fan base as well that you should make this the main event over Hangman and Moxley or Mercedes and Tony. And that's a good thing for a big time show, the biggest event of the year. You want to have it to be a situation where you kind of have to announce it as a triple main event with those 3 matches.
They should do 3 rings and
3
all
rings
the matches
at the same time.
At the same time.
Because Okada and Omega, they're going 48 hours, like we said before.
That's right.
So you could do the Mercedes and Tony. They'll go 30 minutes. Moxley and Hangman will go like 45, and Kenny and Okada would still be going.
They should do it like the 3 rings, but then they all have to get this would put a lot of work on the producers. They have to like time it out to where the action is going at each hit. So like Okada's got Omega in a headlock to slow things down. Meanwhile, Mercedes and Tony, Mercedes is doing like the Meteora. They're going high spot to high spot, and then Hangman and Moxley are just like throwing punches. And then we get like a big sequence between Okada and Omega, drop kick, V trigger type sequences. Mercedes and Tony, they're just working a hold. Mercedes has got her in the figure 4, and Hangman and Moxley they're throwing punches. And then we go to Okada and Omega, and they're doing a finishing stretch. He's going for the one wing angel. He escapes Rainmaker. Mercedes and Tony. Tony is hitting the hip attack in the corner, and Hangman and Moxley, they're throwing punches. And then we go to Okada and Omega, and it seems like they're going to the finish. Here comes the Don Callis family. They're running out there now at this point. Mercedes and Tony, they're slowing it down now because we got, the finish, the interference over there. So we need to slow that. We need to pay attention there. So we got Mercedes and Tony just kind of slowing it down, working a little holds. Hangman and Moxley, they're on the outside throwing punches now as everybody else is working around. We go over to Mercedes and Tony, finishing stretch over here with Mercedes and Tony. Tony hits the Stormbreaker, not the Stormbreaker. She hits the.
That should be her finishing move.
She hits the She hits the Stormbreaker. Hits the Stormbreaker for the win. That's right. Tony Storm's winning, people. And then Okada and Omega, the interference has died down. They're coming up now. They're down. They're doing double down. The finish is over here, so everybody wants to pay attention there. So they're just kind of down over there. They're just down after the big interference spot. Moxley and Hangman back in the ring. They're throwing kicks now. Kicks and punches. They've thrown in the kicks and punches. One match is over. People are complaining that the women's match ended first. Everyone's online and just like, why did the women's match get the least amount of time at all the matches? I can't believe this. Omega and Okada are back up. They're doing the big strike battle. Everyone loves that.
Yay,
the big strike. Yeah.
Boom.
Yep. The big strike battle. Over here, Death Riders, Moxley, Hangman. Here comes the Death Riders. Now big interference sequence over there as Moxley and Hangman continue to throw punches. And then over here with with Omega and Okada, they're going back and forth now. They're going to the finishing stretch. They're going to the finishing stretch over there. Now I've reversed course, and Hangman and Moxley is going 48 hours at this point instead of Omega and Okada. This is where we're going.
See, this is why Jeremy can't wear too many hats, because he's trying to be writer and producer at this point. He's producing the matches too. He changed his mind on the fly.
Yep.
He's communicating to the referee. He's like, actually, it's now Hangman and Moxley that are going 48 hours. Tell Omega and Okada to go home.
We're going old school. These people got to learn how to adjust on the fly out here. None of this, oh, let's go backstage and put together our well-crafted sequences and everything. Nah, we're going, you got to learn how to call it in the ring. The referee is going to relay to you, oh, you thought you had 48 hours? Nope, you have 48 minutes now. You better trim down your shit and figure that out. Because now Hangman and Moxley got 48 hours. They're going way longer.
We're gonna spread out. There's gonna be like an interference every 2 hours. Like it's gonna be like Claudio first, then 2 hours later it's Wheeler, then 3 hours after that Marina Shafir comes out. Then finally the AEW Avengers start coming out like at the 20-hour mark.
We got Marina and Willow coming in. Chris Statlander is gonna come in as well. The Death Riders are going to have a new female presence. It's Camille. Big pop for Camille. She's going to return.
Camille return.
She's going to return and be aligned with the Death Riders. People who want the kiss and Mercedes and Tony, no. You're getting the kiss with Hangman and Moxley. We're getting blood drinking in that one as well. Hangman's going to drink Moxley's blood. That's right. Hangman's going to drink Moxley's blood. And then he's going to kiss Moxley and pour the blood into Moxley's mouth.
Oh.
Yeah. Think about that one, folks. That's what we're doing. And
you got everybody excited. Oh man. But yes, great angle.
And in the end, Hangman Page hits the buckshot lariat, pin 1, 2, 3. And he's pinned Gabe Kidd, and that's who he pinned. And Jack Perry returns with the spike, and he spikes Hangman Page, and Jon Moxley retains.
After 48 hours!
After 48 hours.
God damn it! They did it again! After 48 hours, Moxley retained.
This is my finish, folks. This is my finish. I will not budge off of this finish. Not happening. This is my finish.
Oh, man. No, don't budge. Don't flinch. He's like, Tony Khan, I'm not flinching. Darby Allin.
Nope, this is my finish. You will not get me to book a different finish. Oh, when Hangman Page. I don't care if you want Hangman Page to win. This is the finish, everybody.
Oh man, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I saw in the chat, not to go back, but go back on what we said, what we were talking about earlier with Ospreay and Swerve. Potentially racing the Young Bucks. I saw in the chat somebody said that that's a waste of Ospreay and Swerve. What do you think about that matchup at All In?
I thought that Ospreay and Swerve should be the All In match, but once I did it last night, I was like, oh yeah, they're definitely doing Bucks against Ospreay and Swerve. I don't really think it's a waste though. Like we gotta put a little respect on the Young Bucks name, right? Like. We know this is going to be a killer match.
Yeah.
The Bucks are going to have a killer match. Ospreay and Swerve, they always have killer matches. Like, it's a great match. And I think they've done well to set it up, too. It's not a just, hey, we're just going to have a banger match for a banger match. Like, it goes back to the Bucks costing Swerve at Dynasty. And then everything that we saw with Anarchy in the Arena with Swerve and the Bucks. And now Ospreay trying to recruit Swerve and it not happening. And then the match last night and then how everything played out there with Ospreay taking the bullet. Like they've told a good story to get there. I understand if you're disappointed that it's not Ospreay Swerve 1-on-1. I get that. But I'm not going to pretend like this is just a match that is meaningless and isn't going to be good. Like, no, it's going to be a great match, and they've set it up well. So, if you, what are your other suggestions aside from Ospreay and Swerve 1-on-1 for them if it's not going to be the Young Bucks match? Like what else would you suggest that they do? I'm not saying that's just you. Like if
Yeah,
you're
no,
disappointed by this match.
yeah, if you're disappointed, because I'm personally I'm not. I was disappointed when it looked like we were getting Swerve and Hangman versus the Young Bucks, because I thought that's a waste of this rivalry between Swerve and Hangman. But the way they've been building up, where this matchup is just an extension of the AEW World Title story between Hangman and Moxley, and it's just an extension of the Hangman and Swerve rivalry without them just having to team up with one another, because I thought they would have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to get us to the point where we can realistically believe Swerve and Hangman would team up with one another. But I don't think they have the same mental gymnastics with Swerve and Ospreay teaming up. And I've seen Ospreay go up against the Young Bucks, and every time it's a spectacular matchup. And you have Swerve, who's just coming off of one of the best matches of the year against the Young Bucks in what they did in Anarchy in the Arena. So I have all the confidence in the world that this is going to be just as spectacular, just as great at that match. We're going to come out of All In Texas as that's one of the best matches on the entire show. And I just like the fact that it's an extension of the main story. So it's two big matches in one main story heading into the show. So I have no issue with it at all. I don't have a lot of the same issues that I had when the speculation was it was going to be Swerve and Hangman versus the Young Bucks, because it felt like you were basically sacrificing this great overarching story of Swerve versus Hangman for the Young Bucks having a big matchup at All In. This one is servicing the bigger story, which is Hangman's quest to become the AEW World Championship, and come in line with that, with the basically a resolution being a common ground being seen between Hangman and Swerve. I feel like it tells a bigger story than what we would have gotten if they would have went with their initial idea of Swerve and Hangman versus the Young Bucks.
And if you don't like the Young Bucks, which I know there are plenty of people out there who don't like the Young Bucks, if you don't buy them as like a serious threat, like I understand that sentiment. There's plenty of episodes of me saying that they dropped the ball with that whole Elite storyline and what it could have been and what it should have been. And the Bucks don't present themselves as the threats that I think they would like to be as heels. So I understand that sentiment with it, but let's not pretend that there hasn't been a story here, and let's not pretend that the Bucks aren't exceptional wrestlers, because they are. So I understand why people might be upset with it. I think the majority of people are upset with it probably fall into two categories. One, they wanted Ospreay and Swerve one-on-one, or two, they don't like the Young Bucks for whatever reason. Some value,
or they wanted Ospreay to win at Double or Nothing.
Yeah. If that's a thing, sure. I feel like people were fine. I feel like even the people who wanted Ospreay to win were probably not too mad that like Hangman won.
Yeah, I'm an example of that, where I've said it once, I say it 1,000 times. I was perfectly fine with being wrong. I was happy at the end because we got one of the best matches of the year, my match of the year so far this year with that matchup. So I had no problem being wrong there. And like I said, I like how this is not just a standalone story. It's a part of this overarching story, and it's all interwoven. Like something that I always say, that Monday Night Raw is one of the better shows in wrestling right now, because a lot of their main event scene is so interwoven with one another. You had Jey Uso, who had the big matchup on Monday against Gunther, but he's also involved in the Seth Riders storyline, and the Seth Riders are feuding with CM Punk and Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn also has a story going on with Karrion Kross, who's trying to get in his head and trying to lean him towards the dark side. And now Punk's got a story with John Cena, so Seth winning the Money in the Bank means that he can now cash in not just on the World Heavyweight Championship, he can cash in on the WWE Championship and stop CM Punk Punk from winning that. That's all interwoven storyline, and I love when that happens. When there's a lot of different players and big stars involved in your main storyline, that's like the best type of wrestling storytelling to me, and I like that's what's going on heading into the biggest show of the year with AEW. That Hangman and Moxley is not just this standalone build up and rivalry. It involves so many different people, whether it be the Ops, whether it be the Young Bucks, whether it be Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. They're all interwoven in here, and we're building to two matches that are going to be fantastic on July 12th. So I have no issue with it. I just wanted to see if you had a different perspective. And if you have a different perspective, let us know in the live chat or in the comment section if you feel differently, and explain why you don't like it or think it's a waste of the big stars with Ospreay and Swerve, and what you would do with Ospreay and Swerve instead of this, because I don't think there's any better option outside of just doing Ospreay and Swerve again, which they just did last night.
All right, I know there's plenty more from Dynamite / Collision, but I'm going to do a rundown of everything. Second half, I didn't catch too much of, and the stuff that I did catch, I was half checked out on. So
yeah,
I don't have a whole
so you had the first women's match on the show. I'll just cover everything from the women's division first. The first women's match on the show was Ty J versus Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford, which I thought was just fine. It was fine. I thought the real standout in the matchup actually was Ty Mello, because she really felt like renewed, refreshed. Like, it was like you usually expect, like, I would say case in point right now, you're seeing kind of like ring rust from someone like a Kairi Sane, who was out for a couple of months, and the last couple of matches, even though she's been featured on Monday Night Raw every week, she's kind of been showing that ring rust. I thought that Ty Mello showed none of that. She felt like Ty Mello at her peak in like 2021, 2022. She was really active in the matchup. She looked really good. She was very much moved by the welcome back chants, and I love when wrestlers show real emotion like that, so that was nice to see as well. And her and Anna Jay getting the win was a nice touch, but still making Megan Bayne look strong in the end. I thought that was very well done for that tag team matchup there. Then it was Timeless Toni Storm versus Julia Hart. That was a solid matchup. I thought that Julia Hart looked pretty good in defeat, but it was more about the story with Mercedes Moné, who once again did not join commentary. Instead is warming up for the Mercedes Moné Dinner in a Movie series, as she did eat a medium rare steak. I want to get this clear, guys. It was medium rare. If you go back and watch it, that steak was a lot redder on the inside. It was medium rare. She watches in the weeds. Mercedes watches in the weeds, and she saw our whole discussion on how to have her steak, and she had a medium rare steak last night. And also, she did not want to be on commentary, but yet had a big news to kind of drop, because she puts out a tweet where she says she doesn't want to wait to be 5 belts Moné, and she wants a shot at yes, I am. I'm a notorious steak watcher. I'm a pocket watcher and a steak watcher, folks. But she wants to be 5 belts Moné next week in Arena, Mexico. So she has issued the challenge for the CMLL World Women's Championship. I found it hilarious that commentary did not know who the World Women's Champion was for CMLL, because they specifically never said her name until we got the backstage segment later in the show, where Renee Paquette asked Mercedes about the challenge that she put out on social media, and they showed the tweet and everything. And Jesus, I hope I'm saying that right, Jesus came and challenged, basically accepted the challenge. She has faced Mercedes in the past. Mercedes faced her for the TBS championship on the road to facing Stephanie Vaquer back at, or should I say Stephanie Vacqua, as Nikki Bella called her, back at Forbidden Door 2024. So they got that for next week on Arena Mexico. So that's going to be a rematch. It's Zukissis. Yeah, if you say so. Zukissis.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, I was like that first breakdown was horrible. I was like, that is more than one syllable that you are putting as the first syllable, Joel. But thank you, Joel, for correcting yourself.
I don't trust Joel.
I'll trust her for now. Zeuxis, that should be we'll see what happens at Arena Mexico. I think that the crowd's going to be awesome next week, so that should help them a lot. So Zeuxis versus Mercedes Moné for the CMLL World Women's Championship. Hopefully Timeless Toni Storm is on commentary and she doesn't decide to have dinner in a movie. But that was set up on the show. Then you had a mix tag team matchup, mixed trios matchup with Willow Nightingale teaming up with Mark Briscoe and Tomohiro Ishii to verse MXM Collection and Taya Valkyrie. Short matchup, but Willow Nightingale was able to pick up the victory, pinning Taya Valkyrie. And then later, we saw at the beginning of the matchup that Chris Statlander was watching the matchup backstage and then walked away from the TV. And then we got a clip from last week backstage at Fyter Fest. Chris Statlander basically was pissed off that all the attention is on Willow and Willow won't forgive her, and she's basically like, why are we always worried? Why am I always being asked about Willow? What about me? I'm one of a kind. I'm otherworldly and all this stuff. And then Wheeler Yuta basically tried to play some mind games with Chris Statlander and says that Chris has been struggling ever since Best Friends broke up. And I know it's probably hard for her to see all the success that he's experiencing with the Death Riders, but she can always kind of just forget all that noise and do something for yourself. Chris Statlander walked away. She ran into Marina Shafir, who had an intense stare down with her. And then Marina also stared a hole through Wheeler Yuta, who was very pleased with himself. So a little bit of mind games and a little bit of teasing of potentially Chris Statlander following through with what Willow suggested, that she's still friends with Wheeler Yuta, and maybe Willow will see Chris Statlander join the Death Rider. So I like that bit of storytelling to kind of further along the whole story they got going on with Statlander and Nightingale. And I thought the best match from the women on this show was actually the last match that we got with Thekla going up against Queen Aminata. I have my nitpick on this. My nitpick on this is I felt like last week was a very effective debut for Thekla, where she looked dominant against Lady Frost and put her away. Second week, they did not make her look as dominant, and she sold for like 80% of this matchup, but it's Queen Aminata. So it made it a better matchup because Queen Aminata just beats the crap out of everybody that she faced. Queen Aminata kicked her right in the head. She was hitting her hard throughout the matchup. You could see the bruises starting to form on Tekla's body and her face. I love how Thekla looks into the camera. She has a lot of presence and charisma, and in the end, Thekla got the win with her Clark Connors-esque gore into the death trap for the win. So really good matchup. I thought they really delivered a better matchup than I expected between the two. So we got 3 legit matches from the women's division on the show, and a mixed tag team matchup, and some storytelling. This was a stark improvement on the women's division. Do you have any thoughts on all of that, despite not watching it, but from my description?
Keep bullying Tony Khan.
Yes.
Except apparently bullying him for the rights to Love It On Me doesn't work.
No. But bully him to book the women, right? And he usually will have a better week than he had the week before.
And bullying him to get me the ROH pencil doesn't work either. But the other bullying seems to work when it comes to Tony Khan. Yeah.
Can't win for losing. We got to bully these bookers. I bully Triple H all the time. And we got a great episode of Raw on Monday. So yeah, that's how it works. You just gotta bully them to step their game up, and it usually works. Not with the ridiculous requests like Jeremy has, but with just bullying them to do their job. That's how they do their job. And outside of those women's division segments, I'm trying to think what else was on the show. The standby matchup with Bandito and Beast Mortos. Man, they went out there and had a banger. Beast Mortos. Beast Mortos might be the most underrated guy on this roster. Like, he just has the most random bangers on episodes of AEW Dynamite and Collision, and this was just another one of them against Bandito here. I thought this was probably the best Bandito has looked since his return to AEW and Ring of Honor. I thought they just went out there, went balls to the wall. Yeah, I agree with MCAS. Beast Mortos needs wins because he deserves wins because he's one of the best that's not really talked about. He's one of the more underrated guys in this company. And they just went out there. They went full throttle. It was hard hitting, fast moving. And then the finish, that avalanche moonsault slam. Great stuff. That had the crowd 3.5 hours into the show still on fire and still excited to see the action. So I got to give credit to both guys. They went out there for a standby matchup, a match that wasn't planned in advance, and they really delivered a great match.
Beast Mortos has won 4 straight matches on ROH TV, so everyone can watch him there if you want to see him win.
They did not put that in the graphic for him too. How dare they?
He hasn't wrestled a singles match since February on ROH, but he
wasn't against Adam Priest, because it was the same match he had against Adam Priest on Collision.
No, his last ROH match was against Sonico, so that was way back in February. But yeah, he's won 4 straight on ROH though, folks. If you want to see him win and you want to see him get more, just watch ROH. His record in ROH is actually really good. His only loss in like the last year on ROH was the title match against Mark Briscoe. Otherwise, he's won basically every match he's been in ROH. So there, folks. Don't complain about Beast Mortos losing on AEW TV. He wins all the time on ROH.
That's all he needs. All he needs is that big push on Ring of Honor TV. That's all he needs to be there. Watch Ring of Honor TV for more.
That's right.
And I think that's mostly all the big points. The main event was Don Callis family and Hechicero picking up a win over Adam Cole and the Paragon. That was kind of set up earlier in the show when they had this weird build up because Carlos Cabrera of I guess of CMLL was there in the ring, and he gives this big grand intro. He's like, he's one of the greatest of all time. And you guys are going to be excited to see him. It is Atlantis. No pop.
Yeah, I was when that happened. I was like, "Oh, what's going on here?" I thought he was about to make like some type of big announcement or whatever. I was like, "Oh, you just like there's nothing wrong with like Atlantis," but I don't know. I'm not up on luchador history. Lucha blog can let me know how big of a deal Atlantis actually is. But Atlantis,
he's a big deal. He's a legend, but it was just the way he did it. It was so weird. It was so weird, that intro.
Yeah. It was strange what they were setting up, and then FTR came out and interrupted them anyway. So yeah.
Stokely Hathaway was hilarious. Stokely was going in on the mic on Atlantis, and then Dax went in, said that he comes from the oldest promotion, and he's also the oldest wrestler in the world. And then Atlantis old ass beat down Dax. This led to the Don Callis family coming out to attack the Atlantis family, and then Bandito and Templario came out to make the save for them, and then you had more of the Don Callis family came out to attack them, and then finally you had Brody King, who made the final save, and then that left Dax in the ring alone to get beat up by older Atlantis Senior Atlantis, who beat him up into the crowd, and that set us up a big 12-man tag for next week at Grand Slam Mexico with Cole, Garcia, Brody King, Atlantis Jr., Templario, and Bandito versus FTR, Daxie Cash, and the Don Callis family, Fletcher, Takeshita, Josh Alexander, Lance Archer, and Hechicero. I think it's like 6 or 8. I don't even know. I've lost count. I lost count on how many people's in that damn matchup. That's a lot of people in that match.
12-man, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a 12-man. So yeah, not Lance Archer. It's just the last person is Hechicero.
Okay.
It's Hechicero, Don Callis family, and FTR.
All right. Sure.
We got a 10-man tag and a 12-man tag next week, because the 10-man tag is going to be Death Riders and the Young Bucks versus Swerve, Ospreay, and the Ops.
Yeah, they're just throwing matches on there. They're just like, you get a multi-man match, and you get a multi-man match.
You get a multi-man match. You get a multi-man match.
That's what they're doing. Yeah, sure. Are you ready to go to the C-suite, SP3?
Well, we did have a couple of news notes. If you want to get into them, we can end off with the C-suite, because apparently the legend of all legends, gearing up for his retirement match, is supposed to return coming up. It seems on Monday. I think it was first reported by on the bodyslam.net PWN Patreon by Corey Haynes, that and then it was confirmed by PW Insider that Goldberg is expected to appear on next week's Monday Night Raw and should be a presence on TV heading into the Atlanta, Georgia Saturday night's main event, where that is the presumed spot that's going to be for his retirement match. So he's expected to make his first return this coming Monday on Monday Night Raw.
I assume Gunther is gonna, talk about I'm the champion again, I'm the ring general.
The ring general.
And I'll defeat everybody, and then Goldberg's gonna come out. That's how I assume it all gets set up. I think the other news bit was, I believe PW Insider reported that Hikuleo is going to finally make his long-awaited debut Friday night on SmackDown.
Really? I did not hear that. I'm so excited. I could take his picture off my milk curtains.
Did you not hear about this?
I've been so busy putting his picture on like telephone poles in London, England. Like I've been on a search. I feel like you just told me the lost child has been found.
Apparently Hikuleo, which makes sense, the bloodline just lost Jacob, so Hikuleo coming in. Hopefully we're getting the great Tangaloa back sooner rather than later. We'll see what it means for Tama Tonga, but Solo's gonna need some power against old Jacob Fatu, so getting Hikuleo in there makes some sense.
Nice. That popped me. Thank you. Yeah. That was a news break for me. I'm so excited. Hikuleo! Hikuleo, you're free! He's free, y'all! He's coming home!
Any other news items that I missed that you were referencing?
I think that was the main one, was the Goldberg one. I'm trying to think, was there anything else? I'll double check. Y'all let me know in the chat if there was anything that we needed to mention before we close out with our C-Suite special, talking about another big episode of WWE Evolve, the Great Evolve. No, the Goldberg one, Corey Haynes in them. I'm seeing the Hikuleo thing. Fightful. Yeah, you talked about the Fightful Select with the AEW Unified Championship. Yeah, TMZ has reported that Brie Bella is in talks with WWE to appear at WWE Evolve next month.
Why is this a report? Like, no shit, she's in talks to return at Evolve. They literally set up Brie and Nikki against Liv and Raquel.
There was a lot of people that were convinced it's gonna be Nikki versus Liv. I'm like, what? No. It's like the Nikki. Like I love how people always want to be like, and yeah, you're not wrong to say that Nikki is the bigger star between her and her sister. But no, you're not gonna tell me that Nikki Bella on her own is a bigger star than the Bella twins together. You could say Nikki is a bigger star than Brie, but you can't tell me Nikki is a bigger star on her own than with her sister. They are both bigger stars together than separate.
I said it on Monday's show or Tuesday's show, I guess, that I thought that's what they were setting up. It seemed like the obvious direction, but now it's confirmed, I guess, that Brie is in talks to also be part of the return, which seems kind of obvious to me.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious to me as well, but still we need these type of reports. Thank you, TMZ. Thank you, TMZ. We appreciate you, TMZ.
I did see Nikki commented on EO saying, "Oh, you paved the way," and people being mad about that. And Nikki basically just said, like, it's not about like the moves that are going on in the ring. It's also like what's happened outside of the ring and the younger wrestlers and stuff, which I think Nikki is correct in saying. Like, yeah, was EO already having a great run in Japan while Nikki was doing great things in WWE? Yes. But what Nikki did do in the WWE did help people like the current generation be at the level that they're at in WWE specifically. And I think that's all EO was referencing. But of course people are gonna, like, why is EO giving this credit to Nikki when EO was already having a great career in Japan without all of this? Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know why people take it so seriously, because I was joking, like I thought it was funny that EO's like, oh, thank you so much, and just imagine the Stardom class watching Total Bellas and Total Divas and watching Brie and Nikki Masawa big time matches with their forearms and being like, you know what, I'm gonna do forearms like that.
We're not gonna act like Nikki Bella and Brie and the Total Divas era didn't usher in like a lot of new fans and didn't usher in a different perspective on women's wrestling in WWE. Say what you want about Nikki and the Divas era and everything. Total Divas created so many new fans, way more new fans than the WWE shows they do nowadays. I know you love LFG, but Total Divas like really brought in a whole different fan base with everything. And that era had the fight for the extra TV time and for the extra opportunities. And Nikki and Brie and Natalia and all those women, like, they legitimately did help pave the way for what you see now, because that helped lead to the Four Horsewomen era. And obviously the Four Horsewomen era really took things to a different level in terms of more in-ring time and more stories for everybody. And that they helped pave the way too. So I understand people are going to be mad. Like, EO's been around just as long as Nikki has and has done just as much as Nikki has in WWE, which is what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's always in the WWE structure. Yeah. So I agree that Nikki does not get enough credit with how big Total Divas and Total Bellas was for where the women wound up being in 2025. So we pop our jokes, but I think that anyone who's like going to be critical of that or be upset at that line, I think you're taking it way too far and taking it way out of the kind of the center. You're not thinking about it in a wider perspective of what it meant for WWE.
Senior saying, according to Chelsea Green, Total Divas brought in 70% or so of the female talents to NXT. I don't know if Chelsea Green is like making that up or whatever. I know Chelsea Green, like, Chelsea has openly spoke about how she loved the Total Divas era and she wants to bring back like the Divas era and everything. Bianca Belair has referenced Total Divas of how she watched that and that was her like gateway into wrestling. Yeah, a lot of these women watch Total Divas and saw.
You'd be surprised how many of them. Like, I don't think that what Chelsea Green said is too far off base.
No, yeah, I'm with you. I don't, again, 70%. I don't know if she's just making things up with the numbers, but I really don't think it's that far off either, because a lot of these women watch Total Divas, they watch Total Bellas, and they're like, oh, they do stuff outside of wrestling. Again, say what you want about the Bellas. We're not gonna pretend like they did not pave the way for not only like opportunities inside wrestling, outside of wrestling too. People saw like how you brand with the Bella Army, and they they had the podcast even when they were active. They got their wine label and everything. They do a bunch of different stuff. Like people saw that as like, oh, you can do a lot of stuff outside of WWE as well that maybe you wouldn't have thought about beforehand. Certainly with the women, because the women weren't afforded those opportunities that the men were, and the Bellas were two of the first people who took those opportunities and were like, yeah, we can actually do stuff outside of wrestling. We don't necessarily just need wrestling to be a thing. So the Bellas, I mean, they are legitimately Hall of Famers, but they're Hall of Famers outside of the fake WWE Hall of Fame as well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. The only other thing, speaking of podcasts that I wanted to bring up, did you hear Cody on the latest?
Oh yeah, I listened to that whole podcast. He rules. He's so funny.
He's so hilarious with the level of BS that he gets to when he has a couple of shots of liquor in him is so hilarious. The Bullet Club line is what I'm still getting reactions and likes and retweets and people commenting and be like, you don't understand what he's saying. He's saying it became commercialized, so it wasn't as cool. I was like, no, it's Cody lying, and we know what Bryan Danielson has said. Cody is he made lying fun for Bryan, and now Bryan wants to lie all the time. Like him saying that the Bullet Club was cool when Finn Balor was the leader. It was cool when AJ Styles was the leader. When I was in the leader, yeah, we were making money, but yeah, it wasn't as cool. It was like the coolest thing in wrestling. What are you talking about,
Yeah.
Cody? You ridiculous, Cody. And I love the fact that there are some fans out there that didn't live through it. That did. I said in my tweet that I put out, I said it was like the coolest and biggest thing in wrestling, and it was. Like I have people that's really trying to argue with me. It wasn't the biggest thing in wrestling. Then why did they get a deal at Hot Topic? Why was WWE trying to sign Kenny Omega at that time? Why was the entrance level, the popularity, the money that they made? Why was it at the all-time height when Kenny Omega wins the G1 and then into all the way to like 2018 to the creation of AEW? Like that is like a game-changing period of the Bullet Club. It was at an all-time high at that point. Like Cody is bullshitting you and you're actually believing the bullshit, or you are just in denial that you don't want to admit that the Bullet Club was the biggest thing in wrestling because WWE at the time was in the creative doldrums. So don't get started. Don't get me started on WWE booking in 2017 and 2018. Jinder Mahal, WWE champion. You make me sick. I hate all of you.
Yeah, the Bullet Club was very cool when Cody was part of it. It wasn't through Cody, but
No,
it was very cool. And
it was very cool.
Yeah, it helped lead to the original All In, which of course led to AEW. It also it helped lead to the ROH New Japan Super Show, which I know they weren't on the show. Yeah, I know they weren't on that show, but everyone thought they were going to be on that show, and that's why it
sold out.
Yeah, that's why it did the numbers that it did. He's like, oh, we're going to get Cody and Kenny and the Bucks on this show. Like, yeah, we definitely want to show up to this. Then they weren't there, but the Bullet Club was cool. It certainly made a lot of money when Cody was part of it as well. It feels like they made money before that. Not the money they were making with the Cody era or the Kenny Omega era, whoever you say was the leader. Like AJ's leadership and Finn's leadership probably weren't making the money that they were making during the
I say that I'll give AJ credit in that when he joins the Bullet Club, that's when I first got interested in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that's when I started seeing people get interested in buying Bullet Club merch like that. So you could say he started a cool trend for the Bullet Club, but don't try to undermine Kenny Omega, because Kenny Omega, his whole claim to fame of being the best Bullet Club leader is because it was the coolest, most popular, and arguably you could make an argument it wasn't, but you can't tell me it's definitely not. It's an argument. It was the biggest thing in wrestling at that time when Kenny Omega is on his rise and doing the matches with Kazuchika Okada, those game-changing matches that changed the business forever. Like, no. Like, this is Cody revisionist history. It's otherworldly and it's hilarious. I love Cody. I love Cody because it's probably, if I did listen to the What You Talking About podcast, I think the best thing about it is like, what is Cody going to have revisionist history and lie about on this episode?
Dude, I need him to just have Brandy as a regular guest. I don't care that he interviews Damian Priest. I'm sure he'll get Orton back on. I'm sure he'll get continue to get like cool guests and stuff. I don't care about that. I need Brandy as a once a month guest at the very least. They are hilarious when Cody is talking about
big old biddies.
Yes. Yeah.
You got them big old biddies.
Yeah. And he references Sabrina Carpenter, and she's like, "You've been saying Sabrina Carpenter a lot lately." He's like, "What? She's good. She makes good music. Wait, what do you mean?" She's like, "I don't know. Okay, you want to bring her up again?" Like, oh shit, it rules. They are hilarious together. Just telling stories and bullshitting those two. Oh, he's so funny. He's so funny in these interviews. I said this many years ago, but I love Cody interviews because he can tell you the same story over and over again, but he will always throw in one little extra detail that he's never had before. And it's like, oh, where did this come from, Cody? He like always knows how the Cody lie. Like he knows to just exaggerate.
He's got to add on to it.
Yeah.
Like, add on, it becomes bigger.
Yeah. Like he just knows how to exaggerate stuff. He's such a good storyteller in these interviews. And the Bullet Club thing was funny to me. I was like, okay, Cody. Okay. Yes. It was not cool, despite being the coolest thing in wrestling at the time.
So ridiculous. Sure. And I got these armchair fucking interpreters trying to tell you guys just don't understand what he's saying. It became too commercialized, so it wasn't as cool. I'm like, you're just telling me you didn't watch or you weren't around. You weren't paying attention at that time. That's what you're really telling me at this point. But without further ado, I think it's time. We get on the elevator and head to the C-suite. The C-suite. It's time for the C-suite. The C-suite. It's time for the C-suite. The C-suite. It's time for the C-suite. You C-suite. All right. It's time to talk about C-suite, which once again, Jeremy, we're going to have to go all the way to Tuesday because the C-suite keeps spilling over into NXT, baby. It keeps spilling over to NXT, baby. Because the monster, the Reaper, Jasper Troy, WWE LFG winner, he was on NXT in the main event. Let's go, my boy. He follows me on Twitter, y'all. He follows me on Twitter. Tyra May still follows me and True Hill Heat on Twitter. She's a fan. She knows that we rep the C-suite over here, ladies and gentlemen. They know. LFG winners know. But Jasper Troy, I thought he was very impressive against Obafemi. For a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience in the ring, he's only been wrestling for like a year and a half. He's got like 50 matches to his resume. I thought he did really well. This was like a hoss fight, had some memorable moments, like him pushing Obafemi into the turnbuckle and the turnbuckle breaking off. Obafemi putting him into the barricade and the barricade falling over. I thought he did really well with those spots. I mean, you had the big criticism, the big botch at the end on the first fall from grace where he didn't kick out. Yeah, but that's just experience at this point. I'm not going to hold that against him too much. I thought these went out there and just had a really damn good hoss fight. For his first main event matchup, I think he passed. He got some passing marks there. The monster, the Reaper, Jasper Troy. Oh, baby, let's go. He was good. He was good. That boy good. And I just want to get this straight because I've seen a lot of other outlets out there. They don't know. They ain't up on our like in the weeds. They don't be shooting in the C-suite gym like the community of in the weeds. When you hear these other outlets try to claim Lainey Reed is from Evolve, she's never been on Evolve. What are y'all talking about? She's never been on Evolve. So stop trying. Don't listen to these platforms. These platforms that go out here and try to say Lainey Reed is a part of LFG or Evolve. She ain't been in here. She ain't been shooting in the gym with us. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. So stop that. Lainey Reed, we're not going to talk about her matchup because she's not from the C-suite. Sean Legacy, though. Sean Legacy is a C-suite vet. And he went out there. He had a very good matchup on the show. I thought he was very impressive. I didn't expect him to win, but I thought that he had enough like near falls to look good. Impressive showing against Ethan Page. Ethan Page picking up the win. I'm not surprised there. But Sean Legacy, he's one to watch. He is going to step up and he's going to get to that level. I think he's already ready-made for NXT. He's just biding his time and helping build the foundation for the C-suite vets of Evolve and LFG. And then we got to talk about Evolve because we had another multiverse moment. We had another multiverse moment on Evolve. Troy Yearwood, the record breaker, he is on Evolve now, and he is not only evolving in the ring, Jeremy. He is evolving with his name. He is no longer Troy Yearwood. Oh my God, it was amazing. I have not seen anything like this. No, Blake Monroe, we didn't know her name. What are you talking about? We didn't know her name. She just became Blake Monroe. We haven't seen a transformation of this caliber since Kenta before our eyes became Hideo Itami. Like that was the most stunning evolve moment before Evolve existed in WWE Universe. But we had never seen it like this, where we had a graphic that said Troy Yearwood, and then it did and it became Jamar Hampton. And he got that cool, smooth music. Boom, 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 boom. The fans is clapping with him. It's like, let's go. Oh, you can tell he a brother. Let's go. Hey, let's go. Oh man, my man Jamar Hampton, he got a bop to come to the ring. He faced It's Gall. Of course he got the win because he is our C-suite multiverse traveler. He traveled from LFG and through the portal of the multiverse, like Doctor Strange when he became the different boxes and stuff in Multiverse of Madness. He became Jamar Hampton. Jamar Hampton getting his win in his Evolve debut. Congratulations to him. He's got a bright future. And you know the little factoid that they told us, Jeremy? He likes poetry. He's a ladies' man.
And long walks on the beach, I assume.
And long walks. He gave us his dating profile. Multiverse, let's go. He likes poetry, y'all. Oh man, Troy Yearwood, aka Jamar Hampton, aka the record breaker. Let's go. Getting the win. And on Evolve, we also had the Vanity Project. Vanity Project, put your twos up in the chat for the Vanity Project. They kicked off the show with Jackson Drake having his first speech. He said he's going along the lines of the first ever Universal Champion, Finn Balor. Seth Rollins being the first ever NXT champion and world heavyweight champion. Buddy Rogers, first ever WWE champion. Jackson Drake, first ever WWE Evolve men's champion. All of those titles are on the same level, apparently. I'll just take his word for it because he's part of the Vanity Project. Vanity Project kicking off the show. They picked up a win, and I think they picked up a new member because Big Cat Nikita Lyons picked up a victory with Zeta Steel in our opener against Mason Holiday and Layla Diggs, thanks to a distraction from Chanel Monroe. We getting a new member. She was even twerking to the techno music. She was Big Cat, Magda Lyons, the American Cream, Busty Rhodes, Nikita Lyons, the American Cream, Busty Rhodes, Nikita Lyons, the Big Cat, part of the Vanity Project. She was twerking. All right. I'm already exhausted talking about this show. This show took a lot out of me.
American Cream, Busty Rhodes. We're not just gonna let this slide here. What?
I gotta finish the show, Jeremy. I gotta finish the show. I can't deal with this right now. You can talk about it later. And then in the main event, you had Wesley picking up the win over Cappuccino Jones. Cappuccino should have got decaf because he wasn't ready for the high rise. Wesley picking up the victory. Good matchup here. Cappuccino Jones looked good in his first singles kind of showcase against an NXT talent, and Wesley proved he is the gatekeeper of NXT. That was WWE Evolve for this week. Great show.
This man said American Cream, Busty Rhodes. What is going on, folks? What is going on?
Vanity Project. She's part of the Vanity Project now.
Is she?
She picked up a win. They gonna team up together against Kylie Armstrong and Natalia next week on WWE Evolve. Big matchup, big main event matchup. Can't wait.
They're doing some type of work. I don't know if it's next door or in my backyard. That's what that background noise is. It might be the American Cream Busty Rhodes doing some type of twerk, and that's how loud it is. You gonna twerk, SP3? Remember when I twerked and I knocked my camera over?
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it off screen, because I don't want to knock my camera over, knock my mic over and stuff.
Fortunately, no, nothing was broken when that happened. But that's a real thing that happened on a show that we did together. Oh my gosh.
Hey, I got you to smile. You didn't start off this episode smiling, but at least you
Imagine if this is like Cody's sister. Just
imagine. Yo, that's like the Earth 2 version of Cody. You got Nikita Lyons, Cody Rhodes. Cody is accepted by the black community, viewed as an ally, and then you got Magda Stallions as his sister, the American Cream, Busty Rhodes.
You gotta stop saying that. We gotta stop.
Big Cat, the Big Cat.
What is this? I don't have words for this. I just don't.
Jeremy's never gonna recover from this episode.
No, I'm not. How am I supposed to? Like, legitimately, how am I supposed to recover from that?
I got so excited talking about the C-suite this week. I'm hot. I'm like sweating. Two fire shows. NXT was much better because they had some C-suite representation at the beginning and the end. And Blake Monroe. But I won't Google that.
Don't Google Blake Monroe.
Don't Google it.
Yeah.
Just like it. It's named after her niece and Marilyn Monroe. Don't Google it.
Well, if you Google Blake Monroe, honestly, like, you will.
Oh no! I did. Stuff. I did when I woke up on Wednesday morning, and it was not a good thing. My missus was asking me some questions.
Yeah, now like it's mainly WWE. They've overtaken on the SEO. Like, it's fine. Yeah. American Cream Busty Rhodes would be a Ring of Hallucinations gimmick, honestly. That would be. She would star in Mac and Me immediately. Like, she might be the female lead, honestly.
She's gonna be a member. She's gonna be one of the female leads for the Vanity Project.
I keep thinking you're doing the shocker. I realize you're only using 2 fingers and not 3, but I feel like you're doing it with American Cream Busty Rhodes. You're going shocker.
I know it shocked some people out there.
I keep thinking that's what you're doing, and it's that makes it more upsetting.
All right, you ready to get out of here?
Am I the only person who sees that? Please at least tell me I'm not going crazy when SP3 does it.
All right,
I know, Grays. I know. Like, I said, like, I realize he needs the extra finger, but like, I keep thinking that's where he's going with it. Just.
You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. I'll be live in half an hour on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel with your boy Jimmy Macaram reviewing last night's 4-hour block of AEW Summer Blockbuster, where Jimmy only watched the first 2 hours. So I'll be reviewing the final 2 hours with Jimmy reacting to my description of what happened.
That's basically this show.
It's basically what this show. Doing a lot of this today.
Follow SP3. Don't follow me. I hope a car hits me between now and.
I hope not. I gotta do this show every Tuesday and Thursday with Joel.
Yeah, that does sound unfortunate. There's a new episode of The Spotlight tonight. I have no idea what we're talking about. I don't think we have a guest. We might have a guest. I don't know. I have no idea what's happening on that show. I don't know what's happening in any show ever. We'll be back tomorrow. Joel will be here, allegedly. Bye, everybody.
American Cream.